Hey everybody, Tony here with the third lesson for the week of June 26th. In this lesson, I want to go over some key things to look for when choosing the correct options contracts to play, depending on account size, what's the best for you, and some key criteria that I like to look for myself. I'm going to try to make this lesson as short as possible, but get right to the points. So the first one is understanding your buying power. Now, what do I mean by buying power? Well, that's dependent on account size or whatever account size that you have specifically. You should never be putting more than 10%, 15% of your total account into one position. Let's say, you're playing with $500 and you can only afford one or two SPY contracts. Well, you shouldn't be playing SPY then, because if you're buying one SPY contract and that's 50% of your account, if worst case scenario happens, that trade goes against you, you can take a real beating on your account and even blow your account up. So you have to understand your buying power, and that's why I never suggest starting out with something like SPY Qs. You should be playing something with cheaper premiums, get the hang of how options work, get consistent with playing something that's cheaper, and then moving on to, something like SPY as you grow your account, compound your gains. Another problem with that is the volatility of something like SPY. You should never be playing something that's super volatile when you are first starting out. The second really important thing is taking theta into consideration. Theta, or time decay, is something that's really going to affect you with longer expirations. I'm not talking about like 0 DTE or even weeklies. I'm talking about, next week's expiration, a month out, etc. A rule I like to live by is anything that has 10% or greater theta in regards to the premiums you're playing, you should stay away from that if playing something greater than 0 DTE. A theta, say you're taking next week's expiration and that theta is over 10%, that's what you're going to lose every day that, you get closer to that date. You should, in time decay. So a theta over 10%, you should stay away from, in my opinion. Those longer dated contracts are cheaper for a reason, because they come with, time decay, theta that will eat your premiums alive. Another thing, open interest, guys, and volume. Okay, if you're taking dead contracts that don't have any open interest, they have no volume to them, well, they're dead for a reason. They are not going to move. A good example of this is recently, I played FSL a while there when it had a lot of open interest and volume. Recently, it's had barely any, so those contracts are simply not going to move. You need to have somebody on the other side buying those contracts. If there's no interest in what you're trying to play, you need to stay away. Another key point is in the money versus out of the money. Okay. Now, I like to play out of the money weeklies. I know people that hate playing out of the money. In the money is less risky. It's less volatile, so, when you get a move, you're going to be making a lesser percentage, but like I said, it's safer. They are more expensive, but they're more expensive for a reason. And then with out of the money, they're higher risk, they're more volatile. I like to play the volatility. I suggest staying away from out of the money. Weeklies, if you're not used to playing volatility or you're not used to the volatility, and that's why they're cheaper, because they are riskier. If I take in out of the money SPY contract and it goes against me, I'm going to be down, a bit right away due to that volatility. And then the last really important thing is, and I've done previous lessons on this before, guys, is the implied volatility. Now, I've done lessons on how to check if an IV on a specific stock is too high using historical volatility and stuff like that. So I would check those out, but it's going to differ from each stock. So, for example, say we're looking at SPY and say the IV's at 80%. Well, that may not be too high for something like SPY. It depends from stock to stock, but if you're looking at something and the implied volatility is through the roof, when you get a move, even if it's in the direction that you're, buying into, you may not get the percentage gain that you normally would if the IV was not inflated. So always in check the implied volatility before purchasing something. These are the 5 things that I live by, guys. I'm sure there are more, but these are the 5 things that I like to always check and review before I'm buying anything. The biggest thing I think you can take from this is understanding your buying power. This first one, you should not be playing something that is going to be risking 40-50% of your account. I know people like to play SPY Qs and stuff like that, but if it's too expensive and too volatile, absolutely do not risk a bigger position size to do so. We've made lists of cheaper premium stuff to play in the past. I would highly suggest checking that stuff out, and then working your way up as you become consistent. But these are the 5 things that I like to live by, guys. And I would review and study these and always check these moving forward. So I hope this lesson helps, guys. And if you have any questions, please reach out. Thanks.